Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 4 of online school. I can't believe we've made it for 3 full weeks. Feels like 3 full years. But hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully we've settled into a routine with school and you're finding the navigating of your different teachers' expectations to be a little bit easier. Maybe not easy, but maybe a little bit easier than the first week. Again, if you're still struggling with that, please reach out and let me know, or reach out and let a teacher know so that we can help you kind of move through these next few weeks with some ease. So I am not going to take too much of your time today. We're starting something new. I have a couple of announcements I want to make. And then moving into we're going to be doing 2 things for the next 6 weeks. So I'm going to be introducing one of those things today. And then the second thing that we're going to be doing, I'll be talking about a little bit today, but introducing it fully next week. So let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. All right, so your warm-up for this morning and your weekly work form. So just go ahead, open up your work form for the week, your first warm-up. Why do you think people keep daily journals? Why do you think people keep daily journals? And just as a reminder, I know we're doing online school, but I don't know. It's never going to be an answer I accept. So don't write, I don't know, Dan. Why do you think people keep journals? Why do you think somebody decides to write down about their day every day? So just what we're going to be doing today, I have a couple of announcements, and then we're going to move into what our activity for the day, which is the Quarantine Diaries, and then we have our exit ticket. So we're going to go ahead and move on. All right, so here's a couple of announcements, and I actually have another one written down that I didn't write down on my screen. So first, just as a reminder, your chains final assignment is due this Friday, the 8th. So just make sure that you're putting the finishing touches on that. Hopefully you got the bulk of it done last week. We didn't have any other work last week. So hopefully you got the bulk of that done, and you're able to just put some finishing touches on it this week and get it turned in by Friday at the end of the day. So just a reminder that that's happening. A few other announcements and updates. So first, I've had a few people asking me why I'm returning work on Google Classroom. So after I grade something, I return it to you. I click, I push it back to you. That helps me stay organized to know what work has been graded, what work still needs to be graded, and then what work is missing. So, excuse me, it just helps me stay organized. So if I return something to you and there isn't a note on there of like, hey, you need to fix this, or if it's graded, you don't turn it back into me. Lots of people, I'm like going back and forth like a tennis match. Like I turn it back into you, you resubmit it, I give it back to you. So if I return something to you, don't turn it back in. If it's graded and I'm not asking you to redo anything, just keep it. Okay, I don't need you to resubmit it. It's already graded in the gradebook. And if you want to make sure it's in the gradebook, hop onto your grades and check. The second thing, who's reading? Just a reminder, we are doing who's reading for this quarter. However, I am switching it up a little bit. We are going to be doing novel choice for the next unit. I'm going to have 2 different novels that you're going to be able to choose from. And you will be able to use that novel for your who's reading. I'm trying to really take your guys' feedback from your from the work that I asked you to do last week. Like, what do you want to do for the next few weeks? What are the types of assignments that you want to work on? And a few people had mentioned, like, I'm worried that if I have to read a novel for class, I'm not also going to be able to read a novel for my own who's reading. So I am going to allow you to use the novel that I'm going to be talking about next week. I'm going to allow you to use it for your who's reading. So those of you that are concerned about reading 2 books simultaneously, that worry is going away. So don't worry about that. Now, which leads me to my next point. I've already mentioned, again, I've thought a lot about this, and I took a lot of your suggestions, and pretty overwhelmingly, I had people say, like, I want to I want to read another book. And so and I'm going to talk about I had also had quite a few people that said they wanted to do creative writing stuff, which I'm going to address today. So we're going to have 2 books to choose from. The 2 books are going to be either The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton or The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. You're going to be able to choose either one. And so I'm working with Mr. Kent right now. I literally just sent him an email about this. You're going to have to pick the novel up from school in order to read it. However, I know that there's a lot of people who are unable to make it to school. I'm going to have a couple of additional questions on the attendance form for this week. One of them is, which book would you prefer to read? The second is, are you able to pick it up from school? And if you say no, then I'll be working with you to figure out how to get that novel to you. I will probably put an ebook up on Google Classroom just like I did for Chains. And then I'll find the audiobook and put the audiobook up as well. But just kind of keep those in your mind. Those are the 2 books that I have as of right now. If everything works out, then those should be the 2 books. But again, I'll talk about more of that next week. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be reading something called the Quarantine Diaries, which leads us into the activity that we're going to be doing for the next 6 weeks. So we have 6 more weeks until the end of the year. I had lots of people. This idea was actually inspired by Izzy. She put down on her, what should we do for the rest of the year? One of her things was, we should be chronicling our daily experiences within this quarantine, and then put them all together to have an 8th grade account of what this was like for all of us. And I just absolutely love that idea. I thought it was so great and creative, and I can't believe I hadn't thought of it, of journaling your experiences. So that's essentially one part of what we're going to be doing is you're going to be keeping track of what you're feeling through this quarantine. I have heard lots of different accounts. Some people are handling this quarantine unbelievably well. Some people are really, really struggling. And I want to give you an avenue to talk about the way that you're handling these experiences. Now, and I'm going to talk more in detail about what it's going to look like on Thursday, or excuse me, on your Wednesday, Thursday video. So this can take, when people hear a journal, they immediately think writing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be writing. It can be lists, they can be drawn pictures, they could be pictures from your iPhone or your phone or your Chromebook. It could be talking about what your day looked like. You could write poetry, you could do creative writing. So chronicling your experience isn't just dear journal, today I woke up and ate toast, then I went back to sleep. It doesn't have to be a play-by-play of what you did that day, but it can be. So we're going to be looking at different ways that you're going to be able to do this quarantine journal in the second part of this week's assignments. So we're starting this on Wednesday and Thursday. This is going to be in addition to the novel stuff that we're doing. So I want to be able to give you a creative outlet during this next 6 weeks, which a lot of people have mentioned that they wanted. They wanted some sort of way to express themselves in a creative way. So that is something that we're going to be doing now. The way that we're going to lead into that is we're going to be reading this really awesome article called The Quarantine Diaries. It was published in the New York Times on March 30th. It was written by this journalist named, oh gosh, I'm going to mess up her name. It's Amelia Nuremberg, something like that. So what she did, it's a piece of expository writing. So it's just explaining something. And it talks about how different people across the world are keeping track of their experiences. So this has really allowed people to rethink how to express themselves creatively, this quarantine has, because so many of our especially writers and artists, they're inspired by everyday life and their experiences with others. But how does that change when they're confined to their home? How do their creative experiences change? Which is what this article talks about. So she interviews artists, writers, journalists, kids. It actually opens up with the journal of an 8-year-old who started a journal after she read the Diary of Anne Frank. and then like continued the journal through this quarantine. So it also touches on how important it is having these written accounts of major historical events, right? We are in the middle of a massive historical event, this pandemic. So historians in the future, hundreds of years from now, are going to be using our real life accounts to help determine what it was like, right? That's how history is written, is using real-time accounts. So all journals and diaries and pictures, like all those are going to be used to help tell this story to future generations. Now, this article has tons and tons of examples, so pictures of these diaries. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reading this article. It's posted up on Google Classroom. It's called the Quarantine Diaries. And then you're going to be answering these 6 questions. You're going to be answering them in your activity practice section of your Monday, Tuesday weekly work form. You can copy and paste the questions into the weekly work form if you want, if that helps you, so you don't have to like go back and forth between the document of like reading the question and answering it. But as always, you should be reading the question before you are reading all the questions before you read the article, so you know what to look for. So number 1, summarize the article in 2 to 3 sentences. Number 2, what are some unfamiliar words you found while reading? Write them down and define them. Number 3, why do you think the author, Amelia Nierenberg, I wasn't too far off, why do you think she wrote this article? Number 4, list one important detail from the text. Number 5, what did the author want to accomplish by writing this article? And then number 6, what purpose did the pictures in the article serve, and why did the author include them? So there's tons of pictures. I adapted this article to make it a little bit easier because it was published in the New York Times, so it was published for adults. So I went through and kind of edited some things. So you'll see on the article, it says adapted by Miss Billings. I also deleted some of the pictures just because there were so many, and the article was like 12 pages long in a Google Doc, and I was like, I don't want to scare them by posting a 12-page article. But if you can, I'll link the actual article on Google Classroom, and you can go there and you can look at all the pictures that are included. So why do you think that she included the pictures that she did? All right, so that's what we're doing today. Let's go ahead and look at our exit ticket. So why is journaling experiences? So journaling is the verb, so the act of journaling. Why is journaling experiences important? Why do you think it is important to journal the tough things that we go through, like even like especially talking about this pandemic? If you have any questions, additional questions, right underneath that. This would be an excellent thing to do with a partner. So hop on a Google Meet with a friend, read the article together, do the questions together. You can do, excuse me, more than one person if you want to get a small group and all do a Google Meet together. That would be awesome. If you do that, let me know. Write it as a comment on Google Classroom. I know, hopefully he doesn't mind me doing this. Braden posted a comment on Google Classroom. Hey, does anybody want to work in a group? I've opened up a Google Meet, join me. And so I think that's awesome. So I encourage you guys to do that as well. All right, let me stop sharing. Okay, guys, hopefully you're doing well. If you have any questions, I'll open up a Google Meet during class time. So you're more than welcome to pop in and ask me anything. You can text me, you can email me, lots of different ways to get a hold of me. Have a lovely Monday and Tuesday. It's supposed to be beautiful. Get out there, enjoy the sunshine. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.